What if I told you that two of the most popular retirement calculators on the internet looked at the exact same person with the exact same money, and one said, "Congratulations, you are totally fine," while the other basically told them to start panic buying ramen noodles? That actually happened. And if you have ever typed your savings into one of those little retirement calculator boxes and thought, "Okay, great, I guess I am fine," or worse, "Okay, great, I guess I am doomed," then this video is going to be the most useful 12 minutes you spend all week. We are talking about retirement planning calculators, why they wildly disagree with each other, and what a real 62-year-old with real numbers actually learned when we ran their full financial profile through every major tool available. Whether you are searching for the best retirement calculator, trying to figure out if you have enough saved, or just trying to understand what on earth a safe withdrawal rate even means, you are in exactly the right place. Stick around because the answers are genuinely surprising and a little bit hilarious. Before we dive into the numbers, let's be honest about something. Most people spend more time researching a refrigerator purchase than they do planning their entire retirement. And that is not a joke, that is a tragedy with a punchline. So today, we are doing something different. We are taking David, our completely average, completely relatable 62-year-old test case, and we are running his financial life through the best retirement calculators on the internet to find out if he is actually going to be okay. $380,000 in his 401k, $68,000 a year in income, Social Security kicking in at roughly $1,800 a month, and a retirement target date of 65. Sounds reasonable, right? Maybe. Possibly. We genuinely do not know yet, and that is exactly the point. Because sounds reasonable is not a retirement plan, it is a wish. So if you have ever typed, "Will I have enough to retire?" into a search engine at 2 in the morning, this video was made specifically for you and for David, who is also probably awake at 2 in the morning, wondering the exact same thing. Now, you might be wondering why these specific numbers were chosen for David. The answer is simple. They reflect reality. According to Federal Reserve data, the median retirement savings for Americans approaching retirement hovers right around $380,000. The median household income for workers in their early 60s sits near $68,000 annually. Social Security benefits averaging around $1,800 per month are extremely common for middle-income earners. These are not cherry-picked numbers designed to make calculators look good or bad. They represent the person most likely watching this right now. And that is exactly why testing calculators against this profile matters so much. When you stress test tools using edge cases, the results become less useful for most people. But when you use a genuinely median profile, the gaps these calculators reveal become directly actionable for millions of real Americans planning their retirement today. Before we dive in, let me ask you something. Have you ever Googled, "Will I have enough money to retire at 2 in the morning while stress eating crackers?" Yeah, you are not alone, my friend. Retirement planning is one of those topics that somehow manages to be both incredibly important and incredibly confusing at the same time. And today, we are cutting through all of that noise. We are putting the top retirement calculators head-to-head in a real-world stress test using one real person's numbers. No fake scenarios, no suspiciously perfect examples. We are talking actual figures, actual results, and some genuinely surprising differences between tools that are all supposedly doing the same job. So, If you have ever wondered whether these free online calculators are actually worth your time, or if they are just digital fortune cookies dressed up in spreadsheet clothing, stick around, because by the end of this video, you will know exactly which one deserves a spot in your financial planning toolkit and which ones you can skip entirely. So here's what Fidelity actually told us about David. He landed in the yellow zone, which Fidelity labels as fair. Not failing, but not on track either. Fidelity estimated David needs roughly $1.2 million to retire comfortably at 65, but he currently has $380,000 saved. That gap sounds alarming, and honestly, it should get your attention, but here's what most people completely miss when they see this result. Fidelity is quietly baking in assumptions behind the scenes that dramatically shape that number. They assume an annual rate of return around 5.5% and an inflation rate of approximately 2.5%. Change either of those even slightly, and David's score shifts. Most users never click through to find those defaults, which means they're trusting a number built on assumptions they never agreed to. All right, before we dive into the results, let me ask you something. How confident are you that your retirement savings will actually last? Not fingers crossed, confident, not my neighbor said it should be fine, confident, but mathematically, statistically, run it through thousands of scenarios, confident. Because that is exactly what we are about to find out, and spoiler alert, the number on your screen right now might completely change how you think about retirement planning. We are talking about Vanguard's Monte Carlo simulation, spitting out a cold, hard probability of success for David's retirement plan. And whether that number is 80%, 60%, or something that makes you want to call your financial advisor at 2 in the morning, you are going to want to stick around. Because understanding what this probability actually means, and more importantly, what to do about it, is the difference between retiring with confidence and retiring with anxiety. Let's see what the calculator says. So Vanguard gives David roughly a 72% chance of not running out of money. That sounds reassuring until you sit with the other side of that number. A 28% failure rate does not mean David goes broke on a Tuesday. It means that in roughly 28 out of 100 simulated market scenarios, his money runs out before he does. That could mean cutting spending at 81, selling the house at 84, or leaning on family in ways nobody plans for. Now compare that to Fidelity's yellow zone score. One feels like a report card, the other feels like a weather forecast. The weather forecast is scarier, but it is also more honest. Probability-based results force you to think about risk as a range, not a finish line. That discomfort is actually the point. Now, let's move to a tool most people completely ignore. The Social Security Administration's own retirement estimator. It's free, it's official, and almost nobody uses it. Most people just guess their benefit or rely on that annual statement they barely read. We're going to enter an approximation of David's earnings history directly into the tool and let the Social Security Administration do the math. Here's where things get genuinely eye-opening. If David claims at 65, his monthly benefit looks one way. If he waits until 67, his full retirement age, that number climbs noticeably. And if he holds out until 70, the difference becomes significant enough to completely reshape his retirement picture. The Social Security Administration calculator makes this comparison concrete in a way most people have never actually seen laid out in front of them. Now let's talk about the single lever that moves David's retirement math more than almost anything else. When he claims Social Security. If David claims at 65, he receives roughly $1,800 per month. If he waits until 70, that number jumps to approximately $2,520 per month. That's a difference of $720 every single month for the rest of his life. So, when does waiting actually pay off? The break-even age lands around 82. If David lives past 82, waiting until 70 wins significantly. Over a 20-year retirement, that delay adds roughly $86,000 in total lifetime benefits. No single investment decision, savings rate adjustment or budget cut comes close to that kind of swing. This one choice quietly determines whether David's money lasts or runs short. Now let's move to a tool that operates on a completely different level. New retirement and planners like it don't just ask how much you've saved. They ask about your taxes, your home equity, your healthcare costs, and how flexible your spending actually is. When we enter David's full profile here, something important happens. The interface walks through each layer of his financial life, not just the savings balance. And the moment we add in healthcare costs for the years before Medicare kicks in at 65, the projection shifts noticeably. David is retiring at 65, but even that short gap between leaving work and Medicare eligibility creates real exposure. Private insurance premiums, out-of-pocket costs, and coverage uncertainty all get priced in here in a way the previous calculators simply ignored. The result looks meaningfully different, and that difference matters. Here is where things got genuinely surprising. After running David through every single calculator, you might expect the biggest swing to come from his savings rate or maybe his investment return assumption, but it was neither of those. The variable that moved the needle most dramatically was healthcare costs during the 2-year window between age 63 and 65, before Medicare eligibility kicks in. That gap is something most calculators either gloss over or ignore entirely. In practice, private health insurance for a 63-year-old can run anywhere from $700 to over $1,400 per month, depending on the plan and state. Over 24 months, that is potentially $17,000 to $33,000 coming directly out of David's retirement savings before he even reaches Medicare. That is not a rounding error. That is a retirement-altering number hiding in plain sight. Now let's put everything side by side. Fidelity gave David a yellow zone score, suggesting he was borderline but manageable. Vanguard said he had roughly a 72% chance of success, which sounds reassuring until you sit with that 28% failure rate. The Social Security Administration's tool showed a massive income gap depending on when he claims, and new retirement flagged him as genuinely at risk once healthcare bridge costs entered the picture. Same person, same numbers, 4 completely different verdicts. So why does this happen? Because each calculator is built around different assumptions, different fears, and different definitions of success. Some optimize for simplicity, some prioritize probability, some ignore taxes entirely. The tool shapes the answer before you even enter a single number. That tells you something important about how much trust you should place in any one result alone. Here is the honest truth after running David through every major tool. No single calculator is wrong. Each one is simply built around a different kind of user and a different kind of fear. Fidelity is best if you want a quick gut check and respond well to simple scoring. Vanguard suits people who can handle uncertainty and want statistically grounded answers. The Social Security Administration estimator is essential for anyone still deciding when to claim, because that timing decision alone reshapes everything. New retirement is built for people ready to go deep, factoring in taxes, healthcare, and home equity together. What David's test revealed is that your choice of calculator should match your planning style. If you avoid complexity, start simple. If you want the full picture, go comprehensive. The danger is only using one and assuming it tells the whole story. If your situation looks anything like David's, here are the 3 numbers that actually matter before you trust any calculator result. First, your real expected Social Security benefit, not an estimate you remembered from years ago, but the actual current figure from the Social Security Administration's website. Second, your healthcare bridge cost, meaning what you will genuinely pay for coverage between retirement and age 65 when Medicare begins. This number alone can completely reshape your plan. Third, your actual monthly spending in retirement, not what you spend today, but what you realistically expect to spend once you stop working. These 3 inputs are where most people feed calculators bad data without realizing it. Get these 3 numbers right first, and every calculator you run afterward becomes dramatically more useful and far more trustworthy. And if you enjoy the cruising lifestyle or just love the idea of slow, relaxed travel on the water, make sure you check out our sister YouTube channel, Lazy Dog Travels. It is packed with real experiences, honest tips, and everything you need to know about life on the water. Just search for Lazy Dog Travels on YouTube or click the link in the description below to head straight there. We think you are going to love it.